Welcome to the fiscal year 26 CPO Selectee Spouse Symposium. We're glad you could join us this evening. My name is Kristen, and I'm the IT Director for Naval Services FamilyLine, as well as a proud Chief Spouse. I'll be your host tonight as we share resources, guidance, and real-life insights to help you know what to expect throughout the rest of the season. Here's a look at today's agenda. We'll kick things off with a welcome video from our chairman, Nancy Ruttenberg. After that, we'll give you a quick FamilyLine overview, who we are and what we do. Next, we'll dive into what does it mean to be a chief, a look at the history of the chief petty officer rank and what to expect during the season. From there, we'll go over some of the most common questions from spouses, the ones we hear most often at symposiums. Then we'll switch gears and talk about time for fun, the traditional social events, and what you can expect when it comes to spouse attire. We'll also share some tips for success, practical advice to help you navigate the rest of the season. After that, we'll highlight resources. These are additional online tools and support FamilyLine makes available to you. Finally, we'll wrap up with a Q&A session with our panelists, your chance to hear directly from seasoned chief spouses. We'll be diving into all of these sections shortly, but first, let's hear from our chairman.
Hello and welcome. My name is Nancy Ruttenberg, and I have the honor of serving as the chairman of Naval Services FamilyLine. On behalf of our entire organization, I would like to extend my heartfelt congratulations on your sailor's selection for Chief Petty Officer. This is one of the most significant milestones in an enlisted sailor's career, and is a reflection not only on their hard work and dedication, but also of the support and encouragement you've provided along the way. The Chief Petty Officer training season is unique to the Navy. No other branch places such emphasis on this pay grade. While the season is challenging, it is also transformative, preparing your spouse to take on the responsibilities and leadership that come with the title of Chief. During today's brief, you will learn the history and traditions of the Chief Petty Officer, the training season, the uniforms, and more. You'll also have the opportunity to hear directly from a panel of experienced spouses who are here to share insights and answer your questions. This symposium and panel is proudly presented by Naval Services FamilyLine. For 60 years, our all-volunteer organization has been a trusted source for Navy spouses, providing education, mentoring, and support throughout every stage of the Navy journey. As we celebrate this milestone anniversary in 2025, we remain dedicated, as ever, to walking alongside you. Once again, congratulations. Naval Services FamilyLine wishes you and your family the very best as you enter this exciting new chapter.
Let's get to know FamilyLine. We offer three main programs, which are Compass, Core, and Naval Spouse Leadership, as well as two resource programs, Anchors Away and the Our Navy Life podcast. As Nancy mentioned, FamilyLine will be celebrating its 60th anniversary in just a few weeks. We'll be launching a happy birthday campaign to mark the occasion. If you'd like to find out how you can assist, please visit us on our social media pages. We originally started as the Navy Wifeline Association, and over the years, our name has evolved to reflect the organization we are today. Our mission is to provide education, resources, and mentoring for today's Navy spouse. Every program we offer and every volunteer who serves embodies this mission. We have programs for every stage of your Navy journey. From day one, we offer Compass. Compass is a 12-hour program by spouses for spouses that covers everything from the history of the Navy to PCS and deployment. We also offer Anchors Away, which is a self-paced, module-based curriculum that highlights the key points of the Navy life. During the mid-portion of your Navy journey, we offer the Core program. Core hosts events and symposiums worldwide on specific topics such as Chief Season. We also have 6 fantastic seasons of the Our Navy Life podcast, with the 7th season launching in just a couple of weeks. The podcast covers topics like military marriage, emergency situations, childcare for military families, and features top guests whose Navy experience is foundational. If your Chief Select ever becomes a Command Master Chief, you'll join them during their Naval Leadership course. While they are learning to become a CMC or COB, you'll be learning how to guide and mentor younger Navy spouses and navigate your own journey through your Sailor's Command tour. As you can see, Family Line offers a little bit of everything for spouses at every stage of their Navy journey. What does it mean to be a chief? In the U.S. Navy, the chief's mess is the cornerstone of every unit. It's the vital link between the lower enlisted and the higher echelons of the command. In order to make it into the mess, a sailor must be selected for the rank of Chief Petty Officer out of their peer group and undergo chief season, or what is sometimes called chief's initiation. Here are a few facts about the rank of Chief Petty Officer. The term chief was first used on June 1st, 1776. By 1893, which is 117 years later, the rank of Chief Petty Officer was finally established, and April 1st is now celebrated as the CPO birthday. In 1917, the first female chief was sworn into the U.S. Navy as a yeoman. The chief's mess is the heart of the chief community. It provides unit cohesion, training, and education, and it operates as a unified body across the Navy. The fouled anchor is the emblem of the Chief Petty Officer rank. Its parts carry symbolic meaning and signifies the daily hardships, challenges, and responsibilities that chiefs encounter and overcome. The chain attached to the anchor represents the strength and flexibility required of the CPO, as well as their reliance on each other. The letters USN are not just abbreviations of United States Navy, but are interpreted in the mess as representing unity, service, and navigation, which are the guiding principles for Chief Petty Officers. These are the big events that are a part of the chief season. As I read them off, I'll give you a little explanation of each. So, meet and greet, which is also sometimes known as meet the mess. This is when the chief selects meet the mess at their command for the very first time in the capacity of selects. CPO Selectee Leadership Course, also known as INDOC. This is a course designed to teach what it means to be a chief, how to lead, the responsibilities that come with the anchors, and the role of the mess. Selectee Spouse Meet and Greet. So, this is an event where selectee spouses are introduced to the mess for the first time. It's a chance to connect, ask questions, and start building relationships. Sometimes this is held in a family friendly picnic format, so the mess can not only meet the select spouse, but their family as well. And then we have initial PRT. So, this is the first physical readiness test for chief selects. It's completed before the regular PT sessions begin. Next is the sponsor and mentor assignments or selection. Each select is assigned a sponsor to help guide them and support them through the season. Memorizations. Throughout the season, selects are expected to learn and recite several important pieces, such as the song Anchors Away. Vessels and charge books. These are two important items of the season, and it's likely that your chief select will have their vessel and charge book on them at all times. The charge book will hold valuable information, reflections, and advice from other chiefs, and the vessel is what the charge book is carried in. And often the selects will actually construct their own vessels instead of buying them out in town or online. It's a very good bonding experience for them to build those together. So next we have morning PT, which is the regular physical training sessions with other chief selects. And then we have training for the mess. So the chief selects provide training to the mess on various topics chosen by the chiefs. Next is the Selectee Final PRT. This is the advancement PRT. It marks the completion of the physical requirements of the season. And then we have Final Night, which is the capstone event. This is the culminating activity before pinning. It wraps up the season and prepares for the transition to chief. And finally, we have the pinning ceremony. So this is traditionally held mid to late September. The pinning ceremony is the culmination of initiation and the formal welcome of all new Chief Petty Officers into the Chief's mess. The commanding officer and command master chief or chief of the boat will muster the entire crew to witness and celebrate this milestone moment. Your spouse's sponsor will be part of the ceremony, your spouse's cover in place. So your spouse's sponsor will place their new cover, their new hat on your chief select's head, and then it's customary for spouses to pin their chief. Additionally, your sailor may include any member of your Navy family in the pinning ceremony. Okay, so let's go over some common questions from spouses. Let's see if any of these are on your mind as well. All right, the first question, how can we pay for all the uniforms my spouse has to buy now? So the Navy Exchange offers an interest-free deferred payment plan for all newly selected chiefs, allowing payments to be made in monthly installments. Payments will begin about 30 days after the initial purchase, with a minimum payment of 1/12 that's due each month. The balance must be paid in full within 15 days of receiving the uniform clothing allowance. For more details and program options, visit mynavyexchange.com. So, when will my spouse start getting paid for chief? This is a really big question and a really important question. So, at the time of this recording, there are discussions about adjusting when pay begins, potentially linking it to when a chief accepts an E7 billet. For now, nothing has changed, and your chief select's pay will start according to their seniority number. That seniority number can be found next to their name in the NAV admin document that the Navy puts out. You might know it as the chief results. They are available online if you can just Google them and find them. The selectees in each rating are divided into 12 increments with 3% advance each month for the first 11 months and the remaining 67% advance in the final month. The first increment will be advanced on September 16th, the second on October 16th, and subsequent months through August 16th of the following year until all of the selectees in that rating are paid. So your select, depending on their seniority, may get paid as early as a month, or it might be as long as 1 year. Okay, next question. Can I help and attend selectee events? Absolutely. And you should. You should definitely attend any of them that you are invited to. The first important family event will be the spouse meet and greet to learn what's expected during the chief season. The CMC or COB should give you a schedule of events for the training season, indicating those events that you are welcome to attend. If it's not the CMC or COB, potentially it may be your chief select sponsor that gives you that schedule. Additionally, I have seen where the CMC or COB's spouse has been involved in chief season, and they're kind of the liaison between the families and the CMC or COB. Your attendance shows support of your chief and also provides an opportunity to meet and form friendships with other spouses. Okay, so my spouse has been in the Navy for 12 years, but we are newlyweds. What can I do to better understand what my spouse has been through up to this point? Okay, so first we advise to attend a Selectee Spouse Symposium. In larger fleet concentration areas, they are usually held in person, but of course, here at FamilyLine, we try to do one virtually every year. So if you can't visit one in person, just check with us. Um, Definitely talk to the other spouses at the meet and greet or any of the command functions that you attend. Um, if you have specific questions about the command that your spouse is at, reach out to your command ombudsman and they can definitely answer a lot of those questions for you. If you want to learn more about the Navy in general, we recommend, of course, attending one of our Compass sessions. Not only will you learn about the Navy, but you'll meet other new spouses with the same questions that you may have. You can visit our website for locations and registration information. Additionally, our Compass sessions are not just for new spouses. We usually will recommend that if your spouse has been in for, 10, 12, even 15 years, if they have just if they have just been selected as chief, we do recommend that you take a Compass course, just because, things in the Navy change so often. And now that you are in this new role as a chief spouse, it's likely that younger spouses are going to ask you several questions. So if you attend one of the Compass sessions, you may be able to get the most up to date information that you can help those younger spouses with. My chief select is deployed. Can I still be involved? So it will be difficult to participate directly. However, the support of your chief select is invaluable, and words of congratulations and encouragement are always welcome. We would just recommend that you send words of encouragement via email. Potentially, there may be a port visit where you get a telephone call. Um, Sometimes your chief select will just send you a blanket email not looking for a response. They just need you to be a sounding board. So we always suggest that you read an email twice before you respond to it. You can always locate a local CPO spouse group or association to participate in any of their events. Generally, larger fleet concentration areas have those CPO spouse groups, and the majority of the time they have some sort of social media following. So we would suggest Googling that. Um, and then if your spouse is deployed during, the regular time for the khaki ball, which is generally held a few weeks or so after the pinning ceremony, that will be deferred to when the ship or submarine return or air wing return. So who is the CMC or COB? So I believe I've referenced CMC or COB several times in this presentation so far. So who in the world are these people? The CMC is Command Master Chief, and the COB, which is Chief of the Boat, are on submarines. So CMC are usually on ships and potentially air wings, and COB is always on submarines. They are the senior enlisted leaders of a command. They're responsible for the well-being of the sailors and their families, and they report directly to the commanding officer. A CMC is always a master chief, and a COB can be either a senior chief or a master chief, depending on the needs of the submarine. Time for fun. By the end of the season, your new chief will be exhausted, but they will be ready to celebrate that the season is over and they have officially been accepted into the chief's mess. To do this, traditionally, commands will host a khaki ball. No two khaki balls are the same. Each one reflects a unique personality of its chief's mess. But one thing is definitely guaranteed: you're in for an unforgettable night. You will have khaki ball stories to share for a very, very long time. For the khaki ball, attire usually falls into one of the three categories we have listed here. It can be business formal, semi formal, or cocktail. Now, for the Navy ball, different entities in fleet concentration areas will organize the Navy ball. It's generally in the past been organized by the Navy League of the United States. Um, the Navy Ball is always held in October. Well, generally held in October, depending on circumstances. But for the Navy Ball, attire is typically either white tie or black tie, depending on what's specified for the event. So you will definitely know which attire you need to wear for the Navy Ball well in advance. Traditionally, khaki balls are held a few days to a few weeks after pinning. This is a major event where you and your new chief can unwind and celebrate alongside other chiefs and their spouses. Chiefs are required to wear their new khaki uniforms, but you may be asking yourself, what should I wear? Take a look at these outfits and think about whether they're appropriate, inappropriate, or maybe appropriate. Clothing is personal, and everyone has their own style and what makes them feel good. But for command events like the khaki ball or the navy ball, it's worth picking something that fits the occasion. These nights are all about fun, but keep in mind your spouse's coworkers will be there too. Better to be remembered for having a great time than an outfit that became the talk of the night. Let's see if your thinking matches up. So the blue dress is way too revealing for any command event. The dressy black pantsuit is always a suitable choice, and unfortunately, jeans should not be worn to the khaki ball. So here are some additional outfits that would be okay to wear to the khaki ball. Formal attire isn't required, but appropriate attire is expected. Tips for success. As a chief spouse, you may find that newer spouses turn to you for guidance and support, or you may choose to step into a leadership role yourself. That could mean getting more involved with command sponsored groups like the FRG, serving as an ombudsman, volunteering with a local CPO Spouse Association, or even working with a nonprofit like FamilyLine. Or you may decide you don't want to take on anything beyond what's asked of you. The important thing is that you have the freedom to design and define your role in a way that feels right for you. If you're eager to jump right in, we do recommend talking it over with your spouse first so you're both on the same page about time and commitments involved. And most importantly, be yourself. There's no need to act like someone you're not just to fit in. Everyone brings something different and valuable to the table, and that's what makes this community strong. To help you succeed in whatever role you choose, here are a few pieces of advice shared by fellow chief spouses. Take care of yourself and your family first. They will always be your top priority. Be friendly and approachable. You don't need to be harsh or unkind to be respected. Be a role model. Remember that newer spouses may be looking to you for guidance, so carry yourself in a way that sets a good example. And stay positive. We all have days when the Navy life feels frustrating, but keeping a positive outlook makes those tough moments a lot easier to get through. Resources. Here are some Family Line resources available to you. We, of course, have a website where you can explore all of our programs, order our free publications, and register for a Compass session or a core event. You'll also find every episode of the Our Navy Life podcast there, including 2 episodes that are focused entirely on Chiefs. The podcast is also available on any platform wherever you normally listen. We also have a YouTube channel that houses our Symposium archive. We first went virtual, I think it was in fiscal year 21 due to COVID. And since then, we've continued refining the experience each year. The virtual symposiums have been very popular. So if you know someone who wasn't able to attend today or is unable to attend a local symposium, please let them know that they can watch it anytime on our YouTube channel. So these are just a few additional online resources. On our website, you'll find the Anchors Away modules that I mentioned earlier. They are self-paced. They're available to review as often as you like. They're also available on the My Navy Family app. The family app is packed full of resources for Navy spouses and families. So please, if you haven't downloaded that, go ahead and check that out. And then, of course, we are on social media. We have Facebook page. All of our Compass teams have Facebook pages. And then we have 2 Instagram pages, LinkedIn, and then the YouTube channel that I mentioned earlier. All right, so let's get started with our CPO Spouse panel Q&A. We've got a wonderful group of spouses here tonight who are ready to share their experiences. You'll hear some community-specific questions, but most of the questions we'll cover really apply to all Navy spouses. The questions that we'll be addressing came in through the registration forms, as well as some that we've gathered over the years at other spouse symposiums. So let's meet our panelists. So first, we have Megan Jones from the aviation community, Erica Henson, our Ombudsman Liaison, Sharon Kozak with the recruiting community, Jessica Schechter from the submarine community, and Sarah Irvin representing the surface community. And I'd like to note that Megan is our vice chairman here at FamilyLine and Sarah is our secretary. They both serve on our executive board. So let's start with you, Megan. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. I'm Megan Jones. As Kristen said, I'm the new Vice Chairman of Naval Services FamilyLine. I have been married to my sailor for 16 years, and he made chief 6 years ago.
Thank you, Megan. Okay, Erica, go ahead and introduce yourself, please.
Hi, my name is Erica Henson. I have been with my husband his entire naval career, which is just over 21 years. We've been married for, I don't know, 17, 18 years, I forget at this point. And he was selected in 2019 to become a chief.
Sharon, it's your turn. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
My name is Sharon Kozak. I have been married to my husband, Mark, for 6 years. So I came later on in his Navy career. He made chief in 2022 while I was in the 3rd trimester with our son. So I had an extra fun chief season.
Thank you, Sharon. Jessica, go ahead and introduce yourself, please.
Hi, I'm Jessica Schechter. I have been married to my husband for 23 years. He has been a chief for 22. I'm the oldie of the group, and I'm so very grateful to be here.
And we are grateful that you are here joining us this evening, Jessica. Thank you. And last but not least, Sarah, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, everybody. It's so nice to see you all. My name is Sarah Irvin. I've been married to my sailor for just over 10 years now, and he made chief back in 2017.
So first we have Megan. First question. I'm worried about my toddler, baby, or children being noisy at the pinning. Should I even bring them?
Yes, yes. This is a family-friendly event. While it is a ceremony, it's not incredibly stuffy. Your spouse is going to want them there. This is the biggest moment of their career. Your kids are probably going to be enamored by what's going on around them. My daughter was about to turn 4 at my husband's pinning. So some things that I did to help, we brought some snacks. I don't recommend bringing a blue raspberry ring pop unless you want the blue in your pictures. Some other people had brought like a new toy. So there's some novelty to it that's quiet. And then if they are a kid that uses a screen, a fully charged tablet with some headphones, that'll get you through. So it's kind of like flying on an airplane. You just throw things at them to keep them happy.
Thank you, Megan. All right, question number 2 is for Erica. How do I support my spouse when they're exhausted, busy, and stressed during this process?
Well, the best way I can probably answer that is to say that remember that your house and you and your family, you are your chief's safe place. You are where they want to be. They want to come home at the end of the day, and your home should be their, their peace. So yes, you were probably also exhausted. You were probably also stressed and tired and over it because they do bring that stress home with them. This is not a season of life where leave it at the door, honey. It just doesn't work that way. So giving a lot of grace during this process really helps. And maybe also having a conversation like, hey, we both need to be giving each other grace because, it's more than just a normal deployment where they're gone. Bye. They're coming home every single night, but they're completely checked out. So you still have to, run the household of the things, but, just try to keep it in mind that, you're the safe place. Home is try to be peaceful and, lots and lots of grace all the way around.
All right, next question is for Sharon. What does my role look like during Chiefs season? And am I expected to attend everything, or is it okay if I can't?
That is a great question. You don't have to attend everything. You can attend what you're invited to. However, a lot of sailors like to ask their family for help, especially in the little artsy craftsy things. There were a lot of really fun activities that I helped my husband with in his season that we still laugh about to this day. So I encourage you to be as involved as you are comfortable with and as involved as your sailor is comfortable with.
All right, thank you. Next, Jessica. What happens after Chief season ends? What changes for us as a family when my spouse is actually a chief?
Okay, so first, it's a big sigh, relief. You're done, right? You don't have to worry about going to all the things, but at the same time, now they're in a different role. So their everyday life is going to be different. And unfortunately, for the most for most of you, you're going to be getting orders and jetting off to your next duty station in the chief billet. That's often referred to as chief redistro because they're redistributing all of the new new chiefs to their new billets. Okay, so that is nothing new unless you're new to the Navy. So the actual PCS process is no different, but that will happen, and then it'll just be you finding your new groove with your new command at that chief level instead. So for the family, it could mean, or depending on your level of participation, how you want to do it, could be more responsibility. For your service member, it's definitely going to be more calls at odd hours. And sometimes your plans, sadly, will get rearranged because the CMC or the COB needs them. Sometimes it feels like you're sharing your spouse with the Navy in a whole new way, and it's not always fair. And you may feel frustrated, but that's normal. So the upside, though, is that you're now stepping into this community that understands exactly what it's like, and we are here to, welcome you. Another piece to be aware of is that when you are doing that PCSing, you might know people in your community that are also PCSing around that same time frame, maybe to the same location. While the Navy feels like it is this massive thing, it's also quite small. So I encourage you to get involved with those spouse meet and greets. Go to the Khaki Ball if you can. Go to all of these different events, local conference or symposium, so that you can meet those people that you might not know just yet. So that if you do end up getting stationed in the same place, you're like, hey, I remember you from such and such. So that's what I encourage you to do. But for the most part, it is going to be more for him or her. And it's just going to be you supporting them just in a little bit different role.
All right, thank you. Next question is for Sarah. How do I find my place among spouses who already seem to know each other so well? And this might be kind of a piggyback off of Jessica's question, especially if you've, just PCSed and, the mess that your sailor's going into, they've all been together and here you are. So what would be your best advice on that?
My best advice is to just be open. If you've been with your sailor for a while, you've seen how different groups are at different locations, you know, stateside. This is our first time being on a ship stateside. When we were overseas in Rhoda on a destroyer, all of our spouses, we were tight because we had to rely on each other. We had a huge FRG. We were always doing play dates and things like that. So, and when my husband made chief, we PCSed to Rhoda like a week later. So I walked into Khaki Ball our second night there with all of these spouses, you know, having the best time. And I felt like a total outsider. All that I can suggest to you is just to be yourself, be open. Obviously, you know, not everybody loves those social situations. Make sure your sailor knows, like, hey, don't leave me, please. I'm feeling uncomfortable. And that's okay to say that. You know, obviously they might have to be pulled up to the stage during Khaki Ball or something, but otherwise it's really just a very fluid social event. It don't think too much into it, I guess. Be yourself, be your authentic self, be open to conversation. And again, like, don't get stuck on, well, I hated it here in Norfolk, so I'm not going to do any of it in Everett. Every place is different. Some of my best memories come from when we, think it was my second year in Rhoda, when we had our spouse meet and greet, and I got to be there with a girl. Her husband made it. We went to boot camp together, so I saw her and we were together. And then there was another spouse there who I ran into in the next in Norfolk. So you never know what you're gonna run into when you go to these things. So my best suggestion is just to be open, be yourself, and just try to enjoy it, because it's fun.
All right. Thank you, Sarah. Next up, Erica. Who do I reach out to if I need information, if the boat, ship, sub is underway and communication is limited?
Well, as with any other position, this doesn't matter if your spouse is a chief or not, but it's almost always going to be your ombudsman. That's going to be your number one point of contact. If it's an emergency, you would contact, you know, your ombuds and then the Red Cross. And but as always, it's going to be your ombudsman. They are going to have the most up-to-date information, whether or not you know, the ship your spouse is attached to is River City, or for my case, my husband hasn't been on a ship in a very, very, very long time. So he does all the expeditionary type stuff. So he's just out in the desert somewhere. So it's kind of one of those waiting games until they get back into contact with whomever. But, you know, always go to your ombudsman if you're having an issue and need some sort of, I need to talk to my sailor, XYZ has happened at home.
Okay, thank you. Let's hear from Sharon next. So this next question, I think, is, as a spouse, you know, sometimes you do get asked to help out in doing things during the season to help all of the chief selects. So what if I'm shy, introverted, and I'm just not sure about volunteering or doing anything with these people that have taken over my home? Will I still be welcomed?
Okay, so I like this question because I am an introverted extrovert. I like to tell everybody that my volunteer villain origin story started when my husband became a chief. I wanted to help welcome the new chiefs, and like I wanted all enlisted families to feel differently than what I had felt at other commands. Especially recruiting is hard. We're very spread out. We may only see each other once, twice a year. So if you're shy or introverted, do what you're comfortable with. But yes, you are going to be accepted. One of my biggest fears was actually not being accepted because we moved to Michigan, where we are currently stationed, about a month after my husband got pinned. So I wasn't sure what to expect, but the mess welcomed us so warmly. My husband, 6 months into being here, had to be hospitalized for a medical thing. The mess took care of us. I had coffee sent to me by chiefs in the mess. Flowers were sent to my husband, which actually became my flowers because he's not a flower guy. But some of the coolest interactions you're going to have is going to be with your Navy family. And I can guarantee you the people that your spouse is going through season with are going to be close forever. My husband is still in touch with um the selectees that went through his year, and they have a group chat and they video chat sometimes, even though all of us are in different places. But it's okay to be shy. It's okay to be introverted. As we've said, be yourself. Nobody wants you to be someone you're not. And you'll find that you might click really well with some of the people in the mess, and it becomes a second family.
All right, so our next question is for Jessica. This is submarine specific to the submarine community. What kind of involvement is typical for a chief spouse in the sub community, and how do I know what's enough?
Okay. The question is for the submarine community, but I'm answering it for everybody because
Yeah. It applies to
this
everybody.
it does. This is such a common concern or worry. And the truth is, enough looks different for everybody. Some spouses love jumping in with both feet, like really getting wet, planning events, volunteering, being present at everything. And then there's others that are juggling kids and work or school, and just personal bandwidth is at like a zero. And they can only show up here and there. Both are valid and both matter. So no matter what you do, sometimes you feel like you're not doing enough, especially if you compare yourself to others. Please don't. Comparison is a huge trap. There's this pressure that we put on ourselves that somehow we should keep life running exactly as it did before your sailor, my submariner, got underway. Okay. That we should hold everything together and still give our kids, give our family the perfect normal. Well, there is no normal, there's no such thing, right? But the truth is, those underways, those times that they're gone on TDY or whatever, change things, right? That time apart shifts the way that you might parent, shifts the way you sleep. I always joke that I am bipolar. I live two lives, A life when he's home and B life when he's gone. They are entirely different. I eat different. I sleep different. I watch TV when he's home. I don't when he's gone. Like there's so many different things that change. So it changes what you allow as a mom. When my husband is gone, I allow a little bit more because I need that time away. Like I need that time for me. So it also changes your energy, right? Like you're just that much more exhausted when they're gone. So I want you to give yourself grace. And I think a lot of this comparison trap comes from social media because all we're seeing is this perfection that's put up. That is such a facade. You think, oh, she's got it together. She, looks great. She must be happier. She's certainly a better mom. Stop it. That's not real life. That's just a reel of garbage. Okay. So enough what you can do, what your capacity is good enough. It's more than enough. So if you can just show up even the tiniest bit, that's fine. And if you can't, that's fine too. So your presence, even in the tiniest bit or a large amount, is worth it. And we appreciate it. So just get rid of the comparison. Don't think of the enough thing. Okay. Promise me, please.
Thank you, Jessica.
You're welcome. I get a little animated with all that because I hate when people compare, right?
Yeah, no, totally understand. All right, next question is for Sarah. How do I balance being authentic and open without telling everybody everything and protecting my privacy. So I think this question is really, you want to get to know the other spouses within the Chief's mess. You want to be able to talk to the other chiefs. So I guess, how do you not make a fool of yourself? I guess that's what I'm trying to ask here.
It's a very useful question. And my biggest suggestion would be just don't change. Don't change who you are. If you never would accept a Facebook friend request from a person you just met at a farmer's market, you don't have to accept a random Facebook request from a girl that you saw at Khaki Ball. Like, if that would normally make you feel uncomfortable, it's okay to still let it normally make you uncomfortable and then not do it. I've been an ombudsman for 7 years, and people will constantly send me Facebook friend requests and like, hi, no, I don't know you. We interacted, I helped you, but we are not on that level. You don't owe anybody anything when it comes to that. If you decide to later on, mature a friendship and then do that, then that's totally different. But don't change. And Jessica said a couple things. I was taking notes when she was speaking. Don't change yourself. If you know me, I am myself. I'm the same person today, tomorrow, and yesterday. Do not change yourself just because of this new group that you belong to. Your best self is your original self. And another thing that Jessica said, we put so much pressure on ourselves. Please don't. You don't have to, if you're on the fence about that khaki ball dress, like, if you feel good, do it, girl. Like, don't change who you are just because you feel that there's this mold. Obviously, don't, look for guidelines on appropriate, for sure. But don't change who you are. Continue to be yourself. Don't make a new image just because you think you have to. Keep your light, grow your light, and people will follow it or they won't. And that's okay too. Everybody has their place. Everybody has their season in your life, right? Don't change who you are. Keep doing your thing, and it will come together and just continue to be a really great part of what you're going to do next.
Such great advice. Thank you, Sarah. All right. Next question for Megan. What in the world is the difference between a brown shoe and a black shoe? Some of you may not have ever heard this, but Megan's going to explain the difference for us.
I am, because this is an aviation community thing. And you will see chiefs with different colored shoes when they wear their khakis. Some will have a brown shoe and some will have a black shoe. And some people think this is only for officers. It's not. Essentially, aviation wears a brown shoe with their khakis. And when I attended a Selectee Spouse Symposium in Lemoore 6 years ago, the wing master chief there explained to me that, aviation, we just have to be different. We like to show our salt. And so, the salt has worn our black shoes down so much that now they are brown. So if your sailor's rate starts with an A, they're likely going to have brown shoes. And it's just kind of a fun banter thing between them. You'll kind of hear them make fun of each other. But yeah, just in case you hear the trivia out there, now you know.
I like that. I like that we're just so salty that it's just worn off the black. I like that. That's cool. I've never heard of it explained that way. So, all right. Next is Sharon, and somebody in a roundabout way asked this question in the chat. How many family members can attend a pinning ceremony? And when can I invite them?
Okay. So, the ones that I've been to, you were able to invite whoever you wanted. For example, for my husband's, we had a 16-month-old. We had my mother-in-law, my father-in-law, my brother-in-law, me, our niece, who's 6 months younger than our daughter. And all of us were up there pinning him. So like it was kind of crazy, but You can invite who you want as long as there are no restrictions on how many the venue can hold, but that's all information you'll get from your command. Now, when do you invite them? I invited them day one. The day I knew pinning was, I was like, hey, y'all, you want to come out here and do this? Because at the time we were stationed in Pittsburgh and my in-laws lived in Michigan. So I wanted to make sure that they were there. So definitely, as soon as you find out when it is, go ahead and invite your family. Make sure they can get a flight if they're far away. I would definitely ask your sailor who they want there, because as I said, my mother-in-law and I both pinned my husband. So I knew when he mentioned his mom pinning him that he wanted his parents there. He didn't say he wanted his brother there. I just threw him in for funsies.
All right, next question is for Jessica. How do I build genuine friendships when people are constantly moving in and out of your life?
Okay. This one is not even like, this should be taught to every Navy spouse in general, not even chief spouses. But I will say this. The frustration of pouring into your friendships just for them to bloop. Okay, now I'm on the other side of the world. Oh yeah, I'm going to Guam. Oh, you're going to Italy. Okay. I think still though, those connections that I made with those people, they don't, just because they move, it doesn't go away. And you're not losing them forever because again, the Navy is this big and you will inevitably get stationed near them again. So don't get discouraged. While it may really royally suck that you have to say goodbye over and over and over again, you oftentimes will see those people again. And it can get exhausting, and I'm not saying that it won't, because believe me, my husband's been in 32 years and I've said goodbye more times than I can count. But at the same time, I've also said, "Hey, oh my gosh, it's so good to see you," so many times as well. I also will say that it's worth it, because now when I want to go see somebody in Italy, I can be like, "Hey Jess, can I come over and see you in Italy?" Yep. And I just pop on a flight and go to Italy. If I want to go see my friends back in Hawaii, okay. Hop on a flight and go see my friends in Hawaii. So you're not always saying goodbye forever. Okay? As much as it feels like that is the case, you're not. And even after you retire, which I'm crossing my fingers that we will be in the same spot like Kristen, once that happens too, you still have that connection with the chief community. You still have those people. One of my dear friends, her husband just retired out of Hawaii when we were there. And he was the PAC Fleet Master Chief. And they're now here in North Carolina, just across the border from me in Virginia. And I'm like, hey, let's get together. So it's never goodbye forever. Okay, it's never goodbye forever, and you will be surprised, so surprised how many times. Whoop! Oh, guess who just moved in? Like my dear friend Jackie, when we were doing the run through of this the other day, was that yesterday? They're all running together. My best friend Jackie, we were stationed in Hawaii together. She just got orders here to Norfolk, and she's sitting like she was sitting on the couch right there while we were doing the run through. I'm like, see, this is just how the Navy works, and we can just pick right back up where we left off like no time had even passed. So please don't get discouraged with having to say the endless goodbyes, because then it turns into endless hellos.
Yeah, I always say it's not a goodbye, it's a see you later.
Yep.
Because as much as you think the Navy is this huge giant, it's not. It's small. It's very, very small. So, all right. So next question is for Sarah. As a spouse, is it okay for me to reach out to my select sponsor if I feel like something isn't quite right?
It was funny when I was preparing for this question, my original thought was, no, 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 absolutely not. But that's not true. Obviously, the relationship between the sponsor, the mentor, and the select is very intentional. It's very purposeful. It's one of those things that they're going to seem confused all the time because they won't piece it all together till the end. So, things like being emotionally frustrated or confused or fatigued from PT, those are normal things that are just going to happen. Now, if you are seriously concerned with your sailors' mental health, if they're injured but they're not willing to say something because they're concerned, they don't want to be seen as weak or different. It's one of those challenging situations, but my thought process is always with everything that I don't want to be the low man on the totem pole with a secret. So if you are concerned with something seriously going on, absolutely reach out. And you could preface it with, I don't want to overstep, or even if you don't want your sailor to know that you reached out, some, like when my husband was a sponsor, I gave my phone number to the select spouse, and she would contact me, and so we could kind of work together to take care of each other that way. So the answer is yes. Yes, it is okay if you're concerned. Now, if you call and be like, my sailor had to get up at 4 o'clock this morning, I'm angry, I wouldn't do that. But if you're truly concerned, if there is a true concern, absolutely, or reach out to CMC. That's another place that you can go to let them know that your honest concerns, and they'll address it. So yes, just be mindful of what's going on and be respectful of the process too. But yes.
And you will, at that spouse meet and greet, family day, whatever the command wants to call it, I encourage you to go to those because you will meet your select sponsor. You will meet the other families of the other selects within the command. So, at least at that point, you may be able to get a feel of how available either the sponsor or the CMC. Some commands have amazing CMCs and COBs, chief of the boats, that are, don't even call this person that's, mentoring your sailor, just call me and
Yep.
And we'll talk about it. Even if it's just, the teeny tiniest little thing, just give me a call, so
Yeah. And you can make friendships at those spouse meet and greets too.
Mhm.
There's two women that I'm still really good friends with, and we would always message each other, and we could kind of take our frustrations out on each other instead of having to tell our sailor about how we were feeling because they know they're going through it. So,
Right.
but yes, absolutely go to those meet and greets. It's well worth it.
Right. All right, next question is for Megan. What do I do when I feel lonely, overwhelmed, or I don't measure up to the other spouses?
That it's a totally valid, all those feelings are very valid. There's a lot to juggle right now. Not only is chief season right now, it's just a busy time of year, especially if you have kids getting ready to go back to school, getting you back in that routine. It's a lot for one person to handle. And so I would say you don't have to have it all together all the time. And whatever you're doing, it's enough. And you're enough in whatever role you're playing. If you're feeling like you don't measure up, please remember that the vast majority of what other people show you is their highlight reel. And, we don't share, the bad day or, our kids misbehaving or whatever it may be on social media or in the group text or whatever it may be. So just try not to compare yourself. I'm sorry if you can hear my 4-month-old crying. She was supposed to be sleeping. If you're overwhelmed at home though, if you need help and it's getting to be too much, absolutely, have your select talk to their sponsor, say, hey, can I get a few hours to, help my spouse get things together at home? They're going to have to be a chief after this and also juggle their family. And that practice for that starts now. Their family's got to come first. Their family probably came first and it'll be there with them after the Navy's over. So, within reason, like Sarah was saying, there's no shame in reaching out and asking for that help. Other things you could do that, this is what always helps me, I reach, up, which meaning someone that's been there before. Reach out to a trusted mentor, or a friend that, has walked this path. And then Selectee spouses too. If you have a Facebook group for your base, like we have one here at Whidbey, that's a great place to find some community. Or the Selectee spouses that your spouse may be going through the season with. I know some commands only have like one Selectee. That's kind of the case here at Whidbey because the numbers were really down this year. But just, have your Selectee even help you. Say, hey, I would like to meet some people. Can you get some numbers for me? And, maybe organize a meetup yourself. And then also just don't forget about self-care right now and your hobbies. You're important too. And, your mental health is important. And so just try to make time where you can for yourself.
Great, thank you. So some of your answer bleeds over into our last question for Erica. Is there an organization or group for chief spouses? That's a loaded question.
Well, it really kind of depends. I am stationed in San Diego, so that means we are ginormous. It does make it a little bit harder in a base like this to meet just chief spouses. So what we ended up doing is my husband went through is we got all of the spouse and significant others phone numbers. I started a group chat, and then we ended up starting a Facebook group to where we could kind of bounce back and forth with each other. So we had that, again, kind of what Megan was saying, you've got, your local pages, like in San Diego, we've got Navy spouses, we've got, San Diego military wives pages, those sorts of things. So, you can always look on those, and undoubtedly there's always a thread or two that pop up, when results came out. Hey, whose husband made it, whose girlfriend made it, whose so-and-so made it, so that's always out there, to try to reach and build that community. We ended up, kind of doing all of the artsy fartsy craftsy things, often got done at our house, on the weekends. Everyone would drive over to our place, and it kind of became the spot, for everyone to hang out during the season, to do this, to do that. I'm a crafter by nature, so I always had the thing. So, hey, y'all need something. The guys have to build their rock divisions or their eggs, whatever it is that, your command is doing. It's all right. Well, I got a hot glue gun, everyone come over and, we'll cook up some food, and we made it a community for ourselves again. But I'm a very introverted extrovert. So I love to be shaking your head. Yes. That's kind of how I am, but I love to host. I love to have people. So that is just my personality to welcome the people in. I end up becoming good friends with a handful of those wives. We still keep in contact. None of them live here anymore, of course. But that's just kind of the nature of it. But just trying to do the reaching out as best as you can to see what is in your community is probably the best way to go about finding any kind of support like that.
Yeah.
Can I chime in really quick?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
So in certain areas, I would look up the acronym CPOSA, Chief Petty Officer Spouse Association. So a lot of times there is one, depending on if there's volunteers to run it. So I know in Kitsap by the Bangor base in Washington State, there is one. I know there's one here in Hampton Roads, Virginia. So look up the CPOSA, because it is a spouse association directly linked to chiefs, and depending on their bylaws or whatever they have, you can be one, from the get-go. As soon as your husband or wife makes chief, you can be part of it, and then again, depending on their bylaws, you can still be part of it after retirement. So it all depends, but I certainly encourage you to look just up that acronym, CPOSA.
Kristen, can
Yeah,
I would like to elaborate on one question that I answered
sure.
in the chat.
Yes,
Um,
absolutely.
the question about is it normal for sailors to be on production while going through chief season? That is a
Yes.
very specific like recruiting thing. And so recruiting is weird. I say that because my husband is a permanent recruiter. Um, so on base, there are, correct me if I'm wrong, ladies. I believe they have like certain times of the day that's devoted to chief season or like certain activities that they do together. But in recruiting, you kind of you're still on the bag for putting numbers in, but you also have to do chief season at the exact same time. And there is often a lot of driving, because, for example, we are NTAG Heartland. NTAG Heartland is all of Michigan and Indiana. So our selectees can be they could be hours apart. In my husband's case, we were in Pittsburgh. We had like 3 selectees that were in New York as part of NTAG Pittsburgh. My husband was in Pittsburgh. Somebody else was like right next to West Virginia. It's a very, our season is a combination of a lot of things. So unfortunately, yes, production is still a thing. Recruiting is still a thing, and they have to put in the same numbers whether they're going through season or not. And I know it's hard. I've watched my husband go through it, but that's how our season goes.
Well, thank you for that. All right, so I think the rest of the questions that were coming through have been nicely answered. Um, okay, this is a very good question that just actually came in, and I'll let any of our panelists answer this. What do you do when you feel like you and your sailor are getting a meh experience of chief season due to command mission obviously coming first? So how do you get through just a this is all there is type of thing?
It can definitely be frustrating because it's supposed to be this big grand thing. I was talking to some spouses who their command hasn't had a meet and greet, or the meet and greet really sucked, or it's supposed to be this new thing that's supposed to be great and all, and it does feel like a letdown. But what I chose to do, I made my own magic. We were PCSing during my husband's season, and so I went and bought brown craft paper and paint and put a paper sign on our blank walls in our house that said congratulations. And you just try to make your own magic, try to connect with other spouses, because they're probably feeling the same thing, and then also use that as ammunition for the next year. When you are in that position where you can host a meet and greet, where you can make a difference, where you can cause things and create things and say, I had this and I refuse to let the next class go through that. Use that as ammunition and just do your best. And I know if you have to miss your sailors pinning, I can't imagine how discouraging and sad that must feel. Hopefully the command will live stream. I know some do, or they will record it and be able to see it. But my suggestion, if it's meh this year, do your best and then be better for next year.
I would say if it is undesirably not good, definitely take that to use for the following year, because here's the thing. Next year, you get to make it better, and you are now a leadership spouse. And I don't say that just to say that. I say that because it's the truth. Junior enlisted spouses will more than likely come to you before they will go to an officer spouse, before they will go to an exo spouse, before they will go to a triad spouse. So you are now in leadership. So make it better for the person that's coming behind you. That's what the community is all about, is making anything that you can better. So make it better. Two, I would say that if your command is underway, deployed, TDY, whatever, and they do a pinning on September 16th tradition, oftentimes when they get back, they return, they will repeat it because they know how important this is for the families. So they will just do another pinning so that the families can be there. I know that's what they did when my husband made senior chief. Thankfully, when he made master chief, he was home, but oftentimes they will repeat it. So if your sailor is gone, reach out to the CMC or the ombudsman and see if that can be done so that you can be a part of it.
One
Just,
thing,
oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Sharon. You're fine. Go
I'm
ahead.
sorry, Kristen. One thing that we did, I did for with my husband when he was going through season. Every week I made him something different and I left like notes to encourage him, and he would share those with, like, he would read them out loud to the other selectees. He actually has a coffee mug that I made that says Chief Select Kozak. The select part's coming off, but you know, um it is hard, as I mentioned, in recruiting, especially because, like, you don't really get to have the camaraderie with the other families. So if definitely do your best to make it your own. Um, do it, do your best to, like, make it fun for you and make it fun for your spouse. And if you can make it fun for everybody else, like, go for it. Sometimes everybody needs a little bit of a morale boost.
So Jessica, I have a specific question for you, but I'm going to address this question that just came up in the chat. Um, the question was, if I can find it, oh my gosh, there it is. We're going to be missing the khaki ball this year due to PCSing, and I'm actually kind of sad about it. Do all chiefs get to go every year, and will we be able to attend next year? So the answer is yes.
Absolutely, yes.
Once you're in a mess, you are always in a mess. Navy Chief, Navy Pride, no matter where you go, if there is a khaki ball, you can go. Now, I mean, I wouldn't, like, wedding crash on one that's not your command, but yes, yes. And unfortunately, because you're moving right now, you're gonna miss the new commands. But just think about how much more of an awesome time you're gonna have next year because you have an entire year to meet the mess and meet the other spouses and be involved. So it's gonna be fantastic, even
I
more
mean,
next year.
even depending on the command that you're going to, like
Mhm.
you may be getting there and they haven't had their khaki ball
Well,
yet. Like I know for my
that's
husband's
true.
command, their
That's true.
khaki ball is like, I think 3 weeks after pinning.
Mm-hmm.
Because we live in San Diego,
Yeah.
there are so many commands,
Yeah.
their khaki ball is pushed out, a couple of weeks. I'm like, great,
Yeah.
let's do this. I think we even had one year, like our khaki ball was pushed out into November. So, just check with the new command and, you very well still might get to go to that khaki ball.
Yeah, my husband was on an unexpected underway during one of his khaki balls, and we ended up having it in April. So I mean, it worked out. So it's really dependent too. So we, as the panel, as the host, we have one last thing to share with everybody, and then we will
Oh,
go
I
ahead.
think there's one more question in the
Oh,
thing.
what's that?
What are gifts to
Oh,
give to
gifts to
sponsors?
give the
Yes.
sponsors. Yeah. Any advice on that?
I can chime in. My husband was a sponsor last year. He got a watch from his sponsor. Okay, so I'm gonna preface this. I did not know you were supposed to give sponsors a gift. So we did not give my husband's sponsor a gift, but luckily for me, my husband's sponsor just thought my kids were the coolest thing. So having a baby later that he got to hang out with, he was like, gift enough. But if you don't want to have a baby for your, chief sponsor to hang out with, whatever you're comfortable with, you can give them a letter thanking them for for the mentorship. You can do a gift card, whatever you're comfortable with. I don't think there's really a whole, like, to do about it, or um a minimum or anything, but last year my husband receiving a gift, that was the first time we had ever heard of such a thing.
Yeah, I would say it's appreciated but not expected. So, and like I think sometimes, just that a keepsake, a card, thanks. If you want to do something, that is more than enough. No one expects you to spend your hard-earned money on things. If you want to, that's great. But yeah, just don't put any more pressure on yourself.
No, no. And oftentimes these sponsors are just ready for it to all be over too. And they don't want any more tchotchkes. They don't want any, well, they might want more bourbon, but no, they don't need any more. They can buy it themselves. And no, I would say no. A note that would cost like 25 cents. Thank you so much for your help would be great. You don't need to go and spend money and waste time that is valuable. I personally would not.
Or even a high five. Woohoo, we got them through.
Yeah, that's always appreciated.
I think it just
All
depends
right.
on the type of person that you are. Like
Yeah.
it can go either way. Like my husband, I think has been a sponsor before, got nothing. And, we did get something for our sponsor and co-sponsor, but that's just who we are. Like we are like, here's a gift. Thanks so much.
Yeah.
Thank you. But we don't ever expect anything in return.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So the last thing that we're gonna do, as far as the panelists is, we were talking and we've all decided to give each of you one piece of advice that you can take back to your chief select. So this is not for you. I mean, some of it is, but it really, mine is specific for your select. So, my piece of advice is to remind your chief to always carry a challenge coin when attending any military functions, especially the khaki ball. The tradition is that if a chief taps their coin on a bar or a table, the other chiefs have to quickly, within like 60 seconds, pull their challenge coin out of their pocket. If somebody doesn't have a challenge coin, that person is stuck with the tab. And for my sailor, who is a bourbon drinker, those tabs got very expensive because he would forget his challenge coin because all of the Chiefs mess were, they were just having a good time. So, if, however, all of the Chiefs have a coin, then whomever challenged it, they get stuck with the tab. So, that's my piece of advice. More than likely, they're going to have, they'll have it on them. And then more than likely, you will end up with a case in your home that's full of challenge coins because they are everywhere. So, all right. So, Megan, what's your piece of advice?
So this was told to me as my husband was winding down his season and just like, I don't know if I can make it through. And I don't even know if they want me to make it through. And I was talking to someone about this and he said, we don't bring people this far just to bring them this far. Your spouse has been at this command for, 3 years, and we've put so much time and effort into developing them and making them ready for this moment. And even the commands they've been at before, the messes there have put in the time and the effort. No one wants to see your selectee succeed more, other than probably you and their family, than your own spouse's chief's mess. So,
Oh no, did she freeze? Oh no, Megan, come back.
that's my husband.
Oh, wait, there you go.
Can
Go
you hear
ahead.
me? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Would be Wi-Fi, guys. We're out here in rural America. No, but that was I tried to tell my spouse that, I said, hey, I got this really great advice. And he said, yeah, I just don't know, because they're so in their head by the end of it. But just if that gave me some peace in knowing that, hey, like it's gonna be okay. This last few days are hard, but it's gonna be okay. And then, after the season's over, I just ad lib here. No one's perfect. I think something my spouse does really well as a chief is taking a genuine interest in his sailors and getting to know them. And I can see that they trust him, and they just have a great relationship. So, genuinely take an interest in your people, it will reap the benefits. You will reap the benefits of that tenfold. You're on mute, Kristen.
Duh. Erica, what is your piece of advice for the chief selects?
This goes for, I guess, the selects and for like the spouses and significant others. This is just a season. I promise it's probably miserable. It's probably awful. You're stressed, they're stressed, but I promise it ends and it becomes so much easier. It genuinely, truly does. It does not stay this crazy and this hectic and as stressful forever. I promise you, when they hit that final night, you are filled with so much joy and just absolute love for your significant other that you're just like, you hit that pinning day and it's just pure adrenaline. Like it's over, it's done. You know, I will never forget. We walked up to go to pinning and my husband's CMC was there and she was this little Puerto Rican lady who is an absolute just total bad A. She's amazing and she's incredible. And she was sitting there talking to someone like so super professional. She turned around and she saw me and just started screaming and yelling and ran up to me and gave me the biggest hug. And it was like the culmination of everything. It was done. It was over. We made it. And it was one of the best feelings. So just know that this too shall pass. I promise, I promise, I promise.
All right, Sharon, what's your piece of advice?
My piece of advice is, I'm sure you've heard going through season the term ask the chief. And that seems really overwhelming at first for any new chief. But the term ask the chief is not an assumption that they know everything at the end of season, but the knowledge that they have brothers and sisters who will help them lead others successfully and faithfully. I remember one of the things that scared me the most was when my husband was like, everyone says ask the chief, but his mentor mentored me as well, which was really nice. Mostly because he was trying to keep my husband from getting the wrath of pregnancy. So he decided to be the stand-in for said pregnancy wrath. But I couldn't yell at him because he wasn't my spouse. He didn't put me in that situation. But he's like, we're not expecting them to know everything. We just want them to know where they can go to get the answers. Your mess, as everyone else has said, wants what's best for you. They are not trying to get your selectee to give up. It's kind of almost like boot camp all over again.
Thank you. All right. So next, Jessica, what's your piece of advice? Hold on. There you go.
It does not like to unmute. It just wants to stay muted. It's, include your family, include your family, include your family in the season. Yes, you are going to be wearing the anchors here on your collar here soon, but you did not get those without them. You did not get them without your spouse. You did not get them without your parents, without your family. Include them, please. When my husband made it forever ago, he included my grandfather making his charge book in my grandfather's wood shop. That forever stuck with him. And now whenever I see his charge book, I think of my grandfather, and he's been passed since 2006. So it's one of those things you just have to please include them, because your kids are going to remember later on down the line, and then maybe one of them will join the Navy and they will want to be a chief like you. Okay, so please include your family.
One of the
Sarah,
best things, oh, sorry.
Oh, no, go
One
ahead.
of the
What?
best things I ever did was to surprise my husband. I asked our parents, both sets of our parents, to write down something for me to put in his charge book for him. And amongst the pages of chiefs and master chiefs and senior chiefs, there are pages of, you know, advice from my dad, who was in the Navy, and from, you know, his parents, who dressed him up as a sailor when he was 2 and obviously cemented his life forever. But those are such core memories. I agree with everybody else. Sign the charge book, write a note, let your kids write a note, color in it, whatever memories you can make.
Sarah, what's your piece of advice?
Well, going last is really difficult because everything that everybody said. But this is just a season, and it's such a short time. And then once pinning starts, that's when the work begins. And you are now invest in your sailors, because you are now going to be that person when someone who's drunk at Denny's at 2 a.m. and then lost their phone, and they don't have any friends around. And the only reason they know your chief's phone number is because they have to use it to sign out repair parts. They're going to call you. They're going to call you, and then you're going to have to be that answer for them and that support for them. So invest in your sailors. You are now the light. You are the force for good. You know, it's really hard to stay motivated sometimes, and a lot of conversations will happen in the mess that might be frustrated, but you come out that door, you are a team, you are united, you are together, and that can be really challenging. But be the light and be the force for good. Keep going. Your first year is going to be so incredibly busy, but keep going, because you will make a difference in somebody's life. And if you make a difference in one person's life, then it was all worth it, right? And my number one advice: make sure your sailor knows your phone number, because at some time on final night, they're going to be able to call you to hopefully say that they were accepted, right? They're not going to have their cell phone. My husband had to borrow someone else's cell phone. Thankfully, he knew my phone number by heart, but so many other chiefs did not know their spouse's phone number. So make sure your sailor has your phone number memorized. So when they get to make that joyous phone call that they've been accepted, they can call you.
That's great. I've never heard of that. That's a great one. That's a great one. So, all right. Well, everyone, this concludes our Selectee Spouse Symposium. On behalf of myself and everyone that's here, thank you again for joining us this evening. I hope the information that we provided you, is going to help you through the rest of the season. Everything will be posted on YouTube, hopefully by the end of this week, so you can go back and review. And of course, you can always contact us, with any further questions.